We've got some developing updates with the Tate brothers as they are now free after their 2-year-long persecution by the Romanian authorities, the US, and even the UK. We're going to talk about what the Tate brothers have done this entire time, the crazy amount of scrutiny they've been through, including going to jail and losing their social media accounts, and what exactly they plan to do now with their freedom. So if you guys remember all the way back to March of 2023, in our second episode, we actually covered this case when it was in the very beginning stages when the brothers first got arrested and were yet to be sent home free. They spent 90 days locked up in a Romanian jail cell, which they've described numerous times was a very inhumane experience. This was one of the biggest mainstream media psyops of the decade, along with COVID, Ukraine, Black Lives Matter, smearing President Trump. Andrew Tate is also on that list. He spoke out against the system, referring to it as the Matrix, a system that controls everyone, and he articulates and explains things so clearly and so well that it resonates with all the young men, the masculine youth of America. It's funny because Tate was actually right this entire time, looking back at everything he said. He actually predicted this to happen, and everything that he said literally came true. He was found innocent. They were going to ban him on social media. They jailed him. He even said that they would try to kill him. So it's very clear to see now, and people like Andrew Tate explain how the world is controlled by higher powers such as the deep state. So you look at everything these guys have been through. I mean, they lost 90 days of their life away from their kids. They lost millions of dollars of luxury items, including cars, watches, Bitcoin, cash. They had everything taken away from them. And I think that was a message supposed to be sent to them that, hey, Andrew, hey, Tristan, if you guys want to keep doing this, we're going to make it that much harder for you to even simply have freedom. They want to pressure them to shut up. And surely that didn't happen because the Tates are some of the most influential figures on the internet as we speak, and they continue to speak up. And look where that's gotten them. They're almost looked at as a Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. type of figure because they have literally been through the trenches from just simply speaking the truth. And yes, they face criticism because of their misogynistic views, or, they say things about women that a lot of the people, especially the mainstream media, like to use against them. But that's not what's important here. When you look at the Tate brothers, you think of masculine men teaching good messages to the kids of America to stay strong, to ignore mental health issues and become the best version of yourself by staying true to yourself and staying true to God. I don't know how you can argue with that message, but people like Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum, they're the complete opposite of what Andrew Tate is trying to preach. And it's also no surprise now that Jeffrey Epstein's friends call Andrew Tate a creep because he speaks so much truth and has such a large platform that they cannot stand that people like him are just so much about truth that they would literally sacrifice their reputation, they would sacrifice their well-being and their freedom just to make sure that we have a truthful society. People like Tate, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, people that are literally heroes of this decade and century, have fought for this very freedom that we have right now. What the Tate brothers have done for young men in the manosphere of the past couple years is absolutely huge. I mean, they've literally gotten young men to resist the system, to be the best version of themselves. When we have a world of feminine men and feminization that has plagued throughout our culture and is widely accepted. You look at the LGBTQ community, you see a lot of guys that don't even understand whether they're a man or a woman, and they end up in cults like that. We're seeing a lot less masculine men who are willing to take risks and have high energy and are willing to build something for themselves. It's almost becoming far and few in between. I feel like I'm just simply competing with myself when it comes to certain aspects of that because, like I said, this is a very few and far in between movement of people that are able and capable enough to be resisting of the slave mind and resisting of this feminization that's been shoved down the throats of young men and really people all across the world, because this is a globalist movement to feminize the mass. They want you to be obedient. They don't want you to question the rules. They want you to have low energy, low testosterone, so they can control you. Because if you're someone who questions the system, someone who has high testosterone, and someone who does not take orders very well, that's going to be a problem and a thorn in the neck for the deep state and for the government who's trying to control you. And looking back on the overall case penned against them, it was such a joke. They tried to say that the Tate Brothers human trafficked women and forced them against their will to make TikTok videos, and they stole the money from the videos. I think that is the most absurd definition of human trafficking I've ever heard of. And of course that wasn't able to be used against them for very long. I mean, they put them through 2 years of hell. The real punishment wasn't whether they were going to go back to prison, but it was the fact that they've already had to go through this process over the past 2 years. That was the real punishment itself. And the government, in a sense, still got what they wanted. They still took something from the Tate Brothers. They still hope to aspire to shut them up, even though that is probably going to do the exact opposite effect.